What's up, YouTube? Get Fit fam. Today, what we're gonna do, more multitasking as always, getting that cardio in, getting shredded for the summer. But today, I'm gonna go ahead and do a response video to a video that's old as hell, but I think it's an interesting video to respond to because it does a good job of encapsulating women's thoughts as well as their ignorance when it comes to understanding men. So they're struggling, but we're also struggling to understand them. So I figured, yeah, I'll go ahead and put some commentary on this shit. So let's get it.
A few women together and they immediately talk about their emotional life and they know immediately about each other what's going on. Intimate. Put a few men together. Oh yeah, I mean the car is really great, my son.
So right out the gate, a lot of truth. Yes, women are very in tuned emotionally, and they have a groupthink that, of course, we've heard of before, but it is definitely real. You put a group of women together, and they automatically start exchanging fucking feelings and emotions and whatnot.
I mean, I just would never try and pick up a man. I just wouldn't do it.
Regardless of how, I guess, independent or powerful or successful or whatever a woman is, she still wants to be chose. Yo, that's facts.
I'm the same way.
All of us here are very, big personalities, you know, the hair, the clothes, so some men are intimidated by that.
She said that a dude that doesn't approach her is intimidated by her. This is one of the, most common mistakes that women make.
But a guy that would come up to me, I feel like he has a certain amount of confidence, so sometimes I would be, attracted to that.
When dudes don't holler or don't want to be in relationships with them, it's because they're intimidated. It's amazing. It's like they would rather make that mental leap to think that the very same men that fight fucking bears and tigers and build skyscrapers and go to war are afraid of their colorful fucking outfits.
But do you think that we're doing ourselves a disservice by limiting our options to just the guys that might have that one element of socialization where they know how to talk to women and that
Yeah, totally.
But she's not really limiting her options if she wants her only options to be a guy who would have that assertiveness.
By you having the nuts to even go over to her and approach her is a show of confidence, is how they describe it. But what I was trying to say is it's a quick way to show that, hey, listen, I'm a man and you're a woman. Like we're different, so I'm setting the frame right now. These are the roles.
And I think what she's saying about the man's confidence is that it's safe to her. So she wouldn't be limiting her options by only attracting or wanting that kind of man.
We want someone else to come up to us, which is true. I would never go up. I mean, I don't go up to guys, but that's not to say you're protecting yourself at all because you could be attracting someone who's...
You guys should never be afraid to shoot your shot, other than avoiding some Me Too type shit, which is unfortunate.
I'm always afraid that if I am the one to go forth first, will that then mean that from now on I'm the one consistently pursuing this guy?
If I'm the one that initiates, am I the one that's constantly going to be pursuing in the relationship?
I'm always afraid that if I am the one to go forth first, will that then mean that from now on I'm the one consistently pursuing this guy?
She makes a very good question. And here's the thing. Women are going to do the bait and switch on you. That's just the way it is. They're going to pretend to be whatever they pretend to be to get you invested. And then as you commit, they're gradually going to start contributing and doing less and less to attract you. The more that they feel confident that they already got you, right? So that's how that bait and switch works, real simple. But here's the thing. As the man, you're always supposed to be ahead of the game, ahead of the curve, just like in chess. You got to be a couple steps ahead of her. So you should be making the bait and switch before she makes the bait and switch. The difference is her bait and switch is going from perpetrating, pretending to be something, to gradually showing what she really is. Whereas your bait and switch should be pursuing up until the point that you establish who you are, what you are, your value, and then...
I'm attracted to the still guy. I think there's enormously potential in somebody who doesn't talk much.
Now it's on her to earn the time, attention, and commitment from the man that you've just established yourself to be. this is what's the price tag on it. This is what you're gonna have to do and bring to the table consistently to maintain this this quality of man that's in front of you. Take some notes.
I'm married for 5 years, 2 kids, and I'm out of that scene now for quite some time. And even actually before I got married, I wasn't really in that scene because I'm an Orthodox Jew. You want to know that it's, I think it was Rui was saying, the consistency. It's not just that you want to be pursued. You want to know that he's a pursuer by nature. It's not just that in that moment he chose you and you're going to have some fling. You want to know that you are going to pursue me our whole life.
No, you're not going to pursue a woman the entire relationship. What she means is you're going to continue to pursue success. You're going to continue to level up. You're going to continue to get better and better and better so that you're doing what? Staying a couple steps ahead of her so you don't keep pursuing her. You keep pursuing great.
I'm dating a man who's a crier, and it's confusing. So he's like a doctor, and so he wakes up every morning at 5 a.m., right? And he goes in and he does his surgeries. He's like carving like tumors out of people's like skulls and necks and everything. And then he gets off of work and he's cooking. Like he cooks dinner. Like I've never ever once successfully cooked dinner. And then I was like, I want you to make the plans too, because it's really hot when a guy makes plans. And then I'm like, wait a second. Like he gets to have all the positive masculine attributes and all the positive feminine attributes, and I'm not doing anything. I'm so like liberated that I'm totally useless and not like contributing to this relationship at all.
What she just described is the reason why I made the video Manufacture Need for her. If you're an independent dude, and you might even be used to being a bachelor, doing your own laundry, keeping your place clean, cooking, packing your meals, you're organized already, you're already self-efficient. Men have the ability to pretty much do all the shit that women do in a relationship and do all the shit that men do in a relationship. Now, would it be nice and helpful to have a woman doing those type of domestic things? Yeah, obviously. She feels fucking useless because her man is self-efficient. He doesn't need her whatsoever, and he makes it clear where he's fucking up at is he's resourceful and he gets important things done with his time. Washing dishes isn't important. Cooking isn't necessarily important. Those less important tasks, you need to delegate them to your woman. So whether you do or don't have children with a woman, you need to be giving her things to do to keep busy. And if you don't, her feeling useless and not feeling important is going to begin to corrode your relationship, man. Unfortunately, when women have a problem, they're gonna make their problem your problem. Be a couple steps ahead and preemptively prevent these issues before they occur. Before you have a chick floating around like a zombie feeling useless, give that bitch something to do.
And runs the kids, and you see him out in the playground and he's with his kids. It's wonderful. When I grew up, it was unthinkable. Men would never change a diaper.
Okay, don't listen to this old broad. What she's conflating is what she never experienced with what she thinks she would like. Changing the diapers, taking care of the kids, doing all the domestic shit, that's gonna dry her up like the Sahara Desert. Now, the reason why this old lady is saying this dumb shit is because she never had it. Fellas, be careful with this type of shit. Because cooking, cleaning, changing your children's diapers, all that type of stuff is things that you should be able to do and be able to do well. But they're not things that you do if your woman is present. These are things you do in the absence of your woman. If you got your kids for whatever reason and your woman isn't around and the kid needs to be changed, okay, you need to be able to change the diaper. If she is around, it's on her. And it's the same thing with a female. Should a female be able to defend herself to a certain extent? Yes. But if she's with her man, she needs to keep her karate in her fucking purse, right? If she knows jujitsu and she's been taking self-defense courses, if she's with her dude, she needs to keep all of that wrapped up. Let her man protect her, let him do the fighting, let him do that type of stuff. But if she should happen to be alone, okay, baby, show us what you learned at kickboxing.
In terms of dressing,
How expressive can they go?
Yeah, how
before it's
expressive,
too,
like-
before you might feel it's too feminine.
He can go all out.
Can he wear pink high heels?
He can wear anything he wants. Because for me, my type is like, it's usually internal. They're usually similar in size. If he's wearing heels and he's straight, that's hot.
Really?
Like Prince wore heels, he's hot.
All right, well, I don't even know what the hell she's talking about, but I've been telling y'all, take fashion a little bit more seriously, put a little bit more effort into your dress. It makes a hell of a difference, and all it shows is that you like to take care of yourself, you like to look good, you respect and value yourself. So whatever the fuck she's talking about, just step your fashion game up, bro.
My mom, every time I asked her to go somewhere, she'd always say, ask your dad. As I got older and as he was, got sick with cancer, then we became closer. I feel like we started to understand each other more. Because me being a musician, my dad was a chemist, he was very strict, academics. There was things I learned about him when he passed that he...
Yeah, I don't want to hear anything this idiot has to say, but yeah, I definitely agree with her dad and her mom's understanding that the father is the one that sets the rules, he sets the parameters, he sets the boundaries, he disciplines. Ask your father is a great response. That's what's lacking in our society today, is all these single moms don't have the luxury of saying, ask your father, which is why the kids are asked backwards nowadays.
My mom was always very encouraging in my life, like artistically, and she was always the fashionable one and encouraged me to dress how I want. And my dad was completely opposite. He's very conservative, and he wasn't really around very much, and my mom always was. So the creative side was allowed to come out. I remember the first time he found my first tattoo, he put a hole through the wall. And the next day I was getting it removed. Yeah. Literally.
It's not the creative side was allowed to come out, it's the hoe was allowed to come out. The thought was allowed to come out.
Growing up, he wasn't necessarily the best father. He was always there. My parents were married. He was a bit distant, but I think that's also because his father wasn't really in his life. So I think he was doing the best he could. The interaction isn't where I feel it should be yet. The physical hugging, kissing, not so much. I never really did that. Growing up with my dad, with my mom, yeah. With my dad, no. He's not the affectionate type of guy.
Like, I have a dad, and like we're Facebook friends. He'll like my statuses on Facebook, and but I don't have like a connection to him, I guess. And like I don't think he's like a bad guy. I don't know, maybe I should talk about my grandpa, because he's who raised me. But he was like a junk man. He had like a junkyard. And my grandma was like a tightrope walker, so it was like very surreal.
That makes a lot of sense.
It makes a lot of sense. It's like the only thing that makes sense, I guess.
My father, since as far back as I can remember, read us stories at night, hugged us, sang to us, played with us. He was very helpful. For a large period of growing up, my mother was the breadwinner of the family, and my father was very domestic. I'm talking like dinners, laundry, the homework, I mean, the full picture. Probably at times I resent it a little bit. Now I see it as like a beautiful thing.
Notice how the mother, being the breadwinner, allowed the father the time and energy to play games with them, to be affectionate with them. And when the father does those things, she did what at first? Resented it. But while she's resenting him, respecting and admiring the fact that the mother was the breadwinner. You see how women's mind works? Man bad, woman good.
The only time I saw him sobbing was when the Americans had already come in, and the people from Dachau came through our farm, and my father fed them for weeks, and like about 70 people, and my father was standing there sobbing what has happened, what the war had done to his Germany and what the war had done to these people. Otherwise, he was incredibly stern and very just, and just a very righteous man, and not affectionate. He was affectionate with his horses.
Don't ever let your chick catch you crying or catch you in despair. And classic men of yesterday, they didn't cry in front of their women. And the only time they might have cried in front of women is when it was something extremely devastating and tragic, like a world war. Think about that for a second. That's how serious it had to be for him to cry in front of females.
My husband, not really. It's hard for him. To show emotion is very hard for him. I have never seen him cry. Well, I have seen all my sons cry.
I've never
And
seen
they
my
cry
husband
with
cry
their
either.
wives. They cry with they cry. I like that a lot.
Men are obviously much weaker today than they used to be. And as she's over here bragging about her sons crying, she's confusing what she likes to see other men do and what she would actually like a man to do in a relationship with her. She wouldn't still be with her fucking husband if he was crying in front of her like her sons cry in front of their wives.
But with Ludwig, he just doesn't allow it. He does not allow it.
And that's why he's still her husband. Just saying.
I think of sensitive, I think of like a seismograph, like for earthquakes. And so like, I cry all the time. I'm at the whim of my emotions, but it's just like I'm like this pulsating thing that is just totally open to everything because I'm a sensitive seismograph. And like, that's what you want in a seismograph, right? Like you want it to be finely tuned, and it has this positive thing, but guys, they're not taught to think that. They think sensitive, they think it's like an open wound, it's a mess, it's not okay. And so like I'll call my guy friends, they're afraid of it. And so I'll call my guy friends and I'll be like, oh, my girl's like, how do you feel? And my guy friends, like I'll be like I'm so used to talking in that, so used to communicating in this like feminine way. I'll be like, oh my gosh, it's been a crazy day. I'm totally here, and here. And they're like, oh cool, can I come over and fix it? There's a hole in your wall, I'll fix it. Which is actually kind of awesome, because like me and my girlfriends, we'll talk all day. We'll like wax poetic. We'll like figure out the words to assign to everything, but there's no movement. And so like how cool is it? You just be like, oh, you're not feeling good? I'll come over and give you a back massage.
Orange head chick said this because it's so much to unpack here. You gotta have patience with women, bro. It's not that guys aren't taught to think sensitive, it's that guys are actually taught not to, because it's not effective. That's why they're taught not to express their emotions. They're taught to be practical, and they're taught to be resourceful. They're taught to solve problems, because nobody's gonna solve them for a man or for a boy like they would for a female. That's why we're not over here crying on each other's shoulder, because it's not effective. The next thing that she brought up that's very important, it's what I try to tell women and men, but of course it goes over women's heads. I'll give you an example. When women are like, oh, I'm gonna flake on this guy because my friend needs me. And then it's like, your friend needs you to what? Oh no, my friend needs me to be there for her. Okay, be there for her like how? Like, what is your friend's problem, and what the fuck are you going to do about your friend's problem? What are you talking about? I'm gonna be there to support her, you asshole. Okay, this is female thinking, this is female friendship, and this is how females are there for each other, or quote unquote there for each other. They're just there for emotional support, bro. They don't actually do anything. So what happens is, women call each other when they want to be heard, okay? Women call men when they want a solution. When they want something actually done, that's when they call men, because that's how men solve problems. They actively eliminate the problem with the solution, rather than just come over there and hear a woman gush and vent about it, and just tell her little sweet nothings and reinforce her need to believe that she's not at fault or not wrong, and furthermore, doesn't have to actually actively do or change anything about herself or about reality to get a result. So, what I tell guys all the time is that when you're dealing with a woman and she's like coming to complain to you about something or tell you about something, you have to kind of stop and try to assess whether or not this is one of those times when she just wants to be heard, or is this one of those times when she wants you to do something?
Yeah, but that's what we don't want in that moment. We want the to be caught and understood on the same level.
Do you want me to actually do something, or you just want me to listen? Let me know.
Stop thinking about the solution. Stop thinking about,
Exactly.
Totally.
we're not there. Just be in this moment.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Feel with me the same
Exactly.
way. Yeah.
Try to feel.
Because if listening and consoling is what you want, you might want to call one of your friends with a vagina. If you want something done, then I might can come up with a solution, but we're going to have to discuss and negotiate, what do I get out of it?
A lot of times we're not looking for a solution. We just want you to be here with me. I'm lonely. I'm suffering. I even have the answer. I could snap my fingers and get myself out of this in a second. I just need you to be with me, embrace this, validate it. But do you feel like if you said that, would your husband, I mean, you could say in general, your husband in particular, would he respond? If you didn't just throw it at him, but said, I'm falling apart right now and I need you to catch me.
Women have the luxury of not focusing on the solution and just being present in the moment and focusing on their feelings. Not for men. We have to actually get shit done. We have to actually think of solutions. We actually have to protect in real time. We need to provide in real time. We need to create solutions in real time. We don't have the luxury of the time to hold hands, kumbaya, and fucking cry.
I don't like being called crazy. Like if I'm mad about something and you don't get it, like I'm crazy. So, and I'm like, and it gets me annoyed because crazy means
What's
you're
crazy?
not. Yeah, crazy to
Maybe you're crazy because you're oppressed.
Well, yeah, and I always thought crazy meant you're not lucid. You're not in this moment. You're not well. You're sick. There's something wrong with you.
Yeah.
So if you don't understand me, I'm crazy, and then so it makes me more. Then I have a temper, so I yell, and then I appear to be crazy.
Yes.
But that's not how it started.
All that emotional, listening to them and crying with them and holding hands with them and be there in the moment, and nah, son, don't do that. That's a trap. That's them trying to get female energy out of you as well as masculine energy. That's them being greedy and trying to have the best of both worlds.
you're not really connecting in the profound and deep way that you wish to connect.
I was actually with a guy. I thought he was amazing. And then when we had sex, I realized he was a selfish person because of sex. The way we interact sexually says so much about how we care for each other. And yeah, it was just crazy. I was like, wow, you're such a selfish person by the way you make love to me.
Women aim to control you emotionally. That way, once they get your brain, they get your mind, they can basically hijack it and control your body and get you to do all these masculine tasks. And basically they can control your potential as a man. So if they're not as strong as you, they're just like, you know what, I'll manipulate him and then I'll have control over his strength.
I think how it is sexually is ultimately the most important thing, and no matter the rest.
Yeah, so this is the part where I actually agree with these broads. The sex is where you make the connection with women. The time when you make the connection with them, that should be like sexually, that should be in the bedroom. If you smashing the chick right, control the relationship. In other words, if you can control her body, then you can control her mind. If a woman can control a man's mind, then she can control his body. With a woman, you want her mind, you want her to behave, you want her to be cooperative, you want her to prioritize you and all those type of things. That takes place in her head. So the way to get to her mind is through her vagina. It's science.
If you have children, just let them cry. Boys, particular.
Definitely.
Allow them to fall apart.
The guys now that are going to be having kids, the guys that are a little bit more expressive, the guys that are a little more in tune with things, I'm like so excited for younger people. I do think that men are starting to come into their own, and I think that we have to keep nourishing that. And so, yes, let them cry, let them wear high heels.
That women really don't understand boys or men. Boys aren't sensitive because they're like afraid to fail or fall or whatever. Women really think they're courageous for feeling. Somehow they think them crying makes them strong. No, you cannot move according to their logic, because with that logic, men would be strong if they cried. It's not the case. Nobody wants some dude on their team that's constantly crying and emotional and whatnot. In fact, you don't want a dude on your team that's crying at all, man, to be honest with you.
Yeah, how can we liberate these gentlemen?
Anyway, we're gonna wrap it up. The point is that we just observed why men need to be in the lead. Men need to have it all figured out. We need to talk and share amongst each other so that we get back that understanding of women that's obviously being lost in common day. Men in the past obviously understood women enough to keep them in check. And if we let them do their own thing and we leave them up to their own devices, not only do they destroy themselves, but they fuck our lives up too, as well as our children. So let's get back in control, fellas. First, understand what you're working with before you run out here trying to get you abroad. Because if you don't understand how they operate, it's useless to have one. It's like having a boat and you don't know shit about boats. It's like having a motorcycle and you don't know shit about motorcycles. Let's read the instruction manual first, man. All right? So I'm gonna get up out of here, bro. Peace.